Look at any bestseller list or scroll through Book Talk for 5 minutes, and you will inevitably crash into Freida McFadden. She dominates the psychological thriller space, churning out multiple viral hits a year. Her early 2026 release, Dear Debbie, sparked an immediate divide. Readers flooded review sites, calling the book a masterpiece of suspense, while simultaneously declaring the plot completely unhinged. The story centers on Debbie Mullen. On the surface, she's an everyday suburban mom, but Debbie also happens to be an MIT dropout with a 178 IQ who builds custom phone apps to track her family's every movement. Here is the paradox. If you read the reviews, fans openly list the book's cartoonish coincidences and massive plot holes. They know the logic doesn't hold up, and yet they still give it 5 stars. This is the psychological spell of the popcorn thriller. It is a highly engineered genre that convinces millions of readers to actively suspend their critical thinking in exchange for an impossible, wildly entertaining ride. To pull this off, the author starts by grounding us in the mundane. Debbie's world is built on the facade of suburban normalcy, but beneath it is a deep, simmering resentment. Her frustrations are incredibly common. A sneaky neighbor steals her prized garden photo shoot for a magazine. A boss unjustly fires her from the newspaper for pushing the envelope in her column. Then comes the breaking point. Debbie checks her tracking app and discovers evidence that her husband is cheating on her. By building this relatable powder keg of everyday annoyances, the narrative psychologically primes the audience. We feel her frustrations so deeply that we actually start craving a disproportionate, violent response. This diagram shows the boiled frog escalation. McFadden slowly turns up the moral heat. It starts with petty sabotage, burying beetle traps in a rival's garden. Then, reckless harm, feeding laced sandwiches to allergic friends. Next, criminal framing, orchestrating an arrest. Finally, cold-blooded murder. By the time Debbie pulls a trigger, the reader doesn't bat an eye. Our moral compass has been so systematically recalibrated by those earlier, smaller infractions that we are entirely complicit in her crimes. But Debbie's reign of terror requires a target, and the book feeds us a classic misdirection. We are presented with the apparent reality of a standard, predictable cheating husband. This node network breaks down the actual twist. The cheating man isn't her husband Cooper, it's his coworker, Jesse, using a stolen identity. Then the ultimate coincidence. This same coworker is the exact man who sexually assaulted Debbie decades earlier at a college fraternity. The mathematical improbability of her college assaulter ending up as her husband's coworker and then faking his identity to sleep with her new friend is astronomical. To hide this, the author deploys a coincidence smokescreen. She uses breakneck pacing and highly truncated chapters that force you to keep reading rather than stop and think. She also injects epistolary elements, specifically drafts of Debbie's unhinged advice column, right into the timeline. These act as narrative flares, intentionally distracting the reader from the structural gaps. A thriller does not actually need bulletproof logic. It just needs narrative velocity engineered to outpace the reader's ability to fact-check. In the climax, Debbie pivots from defensive survival to calculating predatory behavior. She stops reacting to her environment and starts reshaping it. She executes a double homicide, then meticulously plants the evidence to ensure the police follow a trail leading directly back to Jesse. Cut to 1 year later. She gets away with it entirely. She sells her tech app for a profit and lives happily with her family, keeping her murderous secrets completely intact. Looking at the thousands of 5-star reviews, the sentiment is overwhelmingly good for her. These readers aren't looking for a lesson in ethics. They are embracing a character who refuses to be a victim. The success of Dear Debbie suggests that in the world of the popcorn thriller, the goal isn't realism. It's a specific type of catharsis that rewards the woman who burns the world down and lives to tell the tale.